Okay, so recently we had Crozer close, actually May 2nd. I'll never forget that day. So my first feelings and my thoughts about Chester closing, at first I didn't believe it was gonna really happen. I'm like, there's no way, um, like our government officials are gonna let Crozier close because we service a large population of Delaware County. So I didn't believe it at first until I saw that sign go over the ER interest saying ER is closed. I was like, oh shoot, this is really happening. And my first thought was my heart hurt. It was kind of like, this is so unfortunate. This is really sad. I was heartbroken because I've always like through the I started working when I was in 11th, 10th grade through the STEP program with Miss Green and Trust Education Foundation. So I remember summer of 20, 2002 maybe? Or 2001 actually. I think so, summer 2001. I was placed at Springfield Hospital. And so I've been with Chester Crozier Medical for since 2002 as a high school student going through the health academy they had at Chester High. So it's kind of like Crozier was family. So it was like it felt like they were breaking up a family. Let alone the services that are now gone. So my initial feelings, I was heartbroken. How about you?
Yeah. So a couple of things that kind of ran through my mind, and it was kind of like a tornado when I first heard that Crozier was going to close. And my first feeling was I was feeling devastated, in shock. What?
Yeah.
How is this possible? A city with 34,000 people, they're going to close a hospital? With the amount of homicide that happened in the city, what is going to happen? The senior citizens, the amount of senior living facilities that we have, where are they going to go? Where's the closest hospital?
Right.
And then with the Chester population being what 96, 98% African American, and then the communities that are around us, oftentimes we don't like passing through those communities because of
We're targeted.
yeah, we're targeted. And then to go to those hospitals outside of our community and making us go through that is alarming. That's hard. So having Crozier right there in our backyard was absolutely necessary, and many lives were saved because of that. So to hear that it was going to close was devastating. And then after I kind of went through the devastation, it was like the processes of grief,
Right.
right?
Right.
I went through the different processes, and then it was like again, and it brought me back, and it felt like a little bit of PTSD with my political history and learning about what happened in Chester, looking at the 90s, closing of our schools, bringing a prison, then Covanta, and then it's like Chester is constantly being hit again and again and again, and it was like another one. What else can they do to us? What else can they take from us? And it keeps happening. So I had that moment of, damn, again? They're gonna attack us again? There is like they're trying to like wipe us out of Chester. And when I say they, the power that be, the individuals that are at these tables that are making these decisions that know that this is going to happen. This doesn't just happen. It was made years ago. And now it's coming into fruition in the general population now. But the people that are sitting at the table, my question is, do you care? These are lives that you're impacting. Do you care? The other thing that I went through, it definitely hurt, pain. I was scared. I live in Chester. Me and my husband, we bought our house in Chester knowing, all right, we have a hospital. There's still some positivity here. I have a 1-year-old that we learned she has a peanut allergy. Let's say something happens to her. My house is less than 5 minutes away from Crozier. I can fly to Crozier. My daughter, my son, me, my husband, we can get saved. But now knowing that I have to go to Riddle, I have to go, where's the next one?
But that's not the only. The other thing is, Crozer was the only level trauma
Right.
2 center in the whole Delaware County. When they were doing a press conference, when they were closing down and they were, asking employees how they felt, during the press conference, a mom came with the baby. She needed medical attention. They in the press conference. Luckily, they still had medical staff on site to help the baby and save the baby life. That's just to prove that the hospital is needed. Not only that, it's walking distance from from where we used to live, Holy City. You could walk. It's in the community. You could walk. If anything happens, someone gets hurt. The highway. First of all, we serve 95, right? The day that Crozer closed, they had a major car accident and they had to get helicopters to fly. It takes 30 minutes just to get to the next trauma center. The weekend that Taylor Hospital closed, someone got shot. Ambulance took 30 minutes to get to the next medical center. I don't know where they were heading to exactly, but the patient didn't make it. That's just to prove how this closing of Chester is not only going to affect the people in Chester, but everyone else in the surrounding communities. Let alone like the people that worked there 30, 40 years, that are now, jobless. The community and the family, the connections we built are now gone. I felt like, damn, I knew for how long I've been working for 15 years, and now it's like everybody going their separate ways. Yeah. My biggest concern is how many lives are going to be lost this year because Crozer is no longer there. Stroke patients. We serve, not only that, we serve the community, we serve the surrounding nursing homes. So the elderly, when they're having their heart attack, strokes, 30 minutes is, that's a long
life
time.
Or death.
Yeah.
30 minutes, life or death.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What gives you hope even in the midst of this loss?
I know that there are community members and officials that are trying their best, or they're coming together to help the people in the community navigate the healthcare system. I know there were funding. People came together. Jefferson, American Red Cross, they gave some kind of money to help us with ambulance services for the next 4, 5, 6 months to help us figure out what are our next steps. So I know there are people out there that care about our community, and they are trying their best, the best that they can. But definitely more needs to be done because Prospect is a company from California. They came in with the mic because they bought us in 2016, right? So when they bought us, they were not allowed to make any changes for 5 years. At the 5-year mark, and that's when my first red flag, like, ooh, they closed community hospital. Everybody forgot that. Sacred Heart, that's the first hospital they closed. You don't hear that in the paper. But community hospitals was where a lot of the mental health services were held. A lot of supportive, family partners. A lot of WIC was in that building. That's the first building they shut down. And they shut down Pearl Hall. Is that what it's called? That gave us pregnant mom services, young teenagers, the services they needed for free or low cost. Yep. They got rid of those programs that support our community first. That was my first red flag. So they bought us in 2016. By 2020 is when they got full operational regulation. They were able to do what they needed to do. So we're in 2025. In 5 years, once they got the green light, you have all control over operations, it took them 5 years to tank us. So that was their plan coming in all along. So moving forward in our country, we need to regulate better in my opinion, I don't think hospitals should be for profit.
No.
I don't know why that purchase was allowed to begin with.
Because somebody got
It's
paid.
right. So you should not be able to profit off of healing people. Hospitals were never created for that purpose. And so to have a for-profit company come in to take over, that was a red flag. It should never happen. And if we do allow those companies to come in, it should be regulated. There should be rules in place. Any transactions that they want to do need to get approved on the county level and on the state level. Those precautions were not put in place. Kept our, made our community very vulnerable for vultures, because that's what Prospect was. They came in, paid off their stakeholders, whatever deal they had. They sold the land. How do you sell the land and expect to sell it? I don't know. Like that was so you expect to sell the land to a company that's and then put Crozer up for sale. So when interested parties came, Christiana Hospital, they came, they wanted to buy us, and then they found out like, wait, we don't own the property. They backed out. I don't know what other reasons they had.
To pay rent.
Yeah, so the company they sold the land to, now whoever buys the building has to pay rent.
Because you bought what was on top of the ground. Now you have to pay the company that owns the ground.
So their plan is to profit to the max.
Profit.
They did not care about the people, the community. They saw a struggling community and they took full advantage. And the other thing that another thing that kind of pissed me off was the fact that you're a California company. He came all the way over here to the East Coast, to Chester, and then filed bankruptcy in Texas, because Texas has corporate-friendly bankruptcy laws, regulations, so that you can get your maximum profit. Like, wherever you created the debt is where you should have filed the bankruptcy, so you could be held accountable and liable for your actions.
How are you a business and you do things like that, right?
But our government allows it.
Yes.
It allows corporations. They create loopholes for corporations to do what they're doing. And guess what? Chester is not the only place they're doing this at. Right now, as we speak, I just got a news article. They're doing it north. Was it Connecticut? They're now cutting back on services. It's like a playbook. They have a playbook.
And they're doing
how they follow. They're doing the same exact thing they did here in Chester, in Connecticut. So this is not only a county, state level. This is federal.
I just want to know, it starts from the top. It starts from the top, from our federal government. When you look at our elected officials, ask how many are millionaires. Ask how many are billionaires.
How many bankruptcy they filed.
It's a lot. And how they making their money. So it starts from the top.
Yeah.
But I want
to just so how can we what would I like to see done? Like, what can we do in the future to prevent this from happening again? Legislation needs to be passed.
Absolutely.
Our governor, there was a legislation that was trying to be passed, was written up, where nonprofits could no longer take over medical facilities, healthcare systems, and guess what? Lobbyists shut it down. So I think we need to get together as a community, all communities in the state of Pennsylvania, and make sure these legislation reach the governor's desk. They're being shut down before the governor can even see it. So yeah, as a community, we need to come together, make sure these laws are being passed, and it doesn't happen again.
I wanted to answer that.
I'm sorry. You go ahead.
So,
Go ahead, girl.
You had what gives you hope. Everything you said, I agree with. Everything about people coming together to help the city of Chester because it is needed, I agree with. But with that being said, they have to help us, because oftentimes Chester was isolated and it was those people, their problem, and other municipalities in this county kind of turned their shoulder and didn't care. But now that it's impacting them, and they have to file emergency claims and state of emergencies. Now it's impacting you, and now you give a damn.
Right.
Well, thank you. Thank you for opening up your eyes and now looking at the resources that Chester need and coming forward. If it took this, that's unfortunate. But I am happy that we are getting the help that we need. It's unfortunate that other communities had to feel it, though. But y'all feeling it. The other thing was our community, other community is feeling the pain. Our residents are flooding their hospitals, which is taking their resources, doctors, time. Their offices and ER departments is being flooded. So now we're getting the resources that we need. The other thing is that I'm hopeful because Chester is resilient. We've been through so much.
Yes.
They try to break us.
Yeah.
We cannot be broken. And we come back every single time. They want to run us out this city, drop the property value down. Let's move them out. When you drop the property value down, people with money can come in, buy, rebuild, and sell for high. Again, making money on our backs. It's not going to happen. We are resilient. We're going to last. We're going to get what we need, and we're going to come out of this even stronger. And that goes to us uniting. This is not just happening in Chester. It's happening in other communities, minority communities, other cities. Let's figure out where it's happening. Let's start crossing our out of our cities and communicating with other communities and figuring out how we could get together to address this. Right. Even if it's a march to Washington, D.C. Let's march, let's rally, let's get together. Because Chester crying on its own, we will go but so far. But when we have multiple communities and cities coming together saying that this is wrong, and we take our numbers to that 1%, we can make movement.
And make sure those legislations pass. So we can march. We can get together. Absolutely. We need to come together also and put pen to paper and get these legislations signed, get them where they need to be. And not forget. We can march, but don't forget. And make sure we see it through all the way.
Yeah, and push and put pressure on our elected officials. Put pressure on our elected officials. If your elected official don't want to move, replace them. Put somebody that does.
And that's where our voting powers come in. I mean, the local elections is where our voices are almost heard. You know exactly. So we had a low turnout this election, but this is the result. When we don't show up, they do what they want. So we need to come out and vote, especially for local elections.
Yeah. But unity. We need unity. Yeah. Not just here in Chester, but in all communities being impacted.
Yeah, for sure.
Bye.
Y'all answered every fucking question.